Imagine you're walking home through a frozen Russian forest. It's 30 degrees below zero. Your boots crunch with every step. You're almost at your cabin. You can already picture the fire you'll build, the hot tea, the cigarette. And then your dog stops dead, hackles raised, growling at the darkness. And from somewhere all around you, you can't tell which direction, comes a sound. A deep, low rumble. Not like anything you've heard before. Not thunder. Not wind. And then, silence. The kind of silence that means something enormous is already watching you. This is where John Vaillant's book The Taiga begins. And what happens next is one of the most terrifying true stories I have ever read about a man, a tiger, and a reckoning that had been building for years. Today we're breaking down The Taiga, a true story of vengeance and survival by John Vaillant. This is not your typical thriller. It's history, ecology, wildlife science, and human drama woven into a single gripping story set in the remote wilderness of Russia's Far East. Let's get into it. To understand the story, you need to understand the place where it happens. Primorai, Russia's maritime territory, a sliver of land tucked in the far southeastern corner of Russia, wedged between China, North Korea, and the Sea of Japan. It is roughly the size of Washington state, covered in thick forest and jagged mountains, and it is one of the most biologically bizarre places on Earth. Vaillant calls it the boreal jungle, and the name is perfect. In Primorai, Siberian blizzards and tropical monsoons collide. You can find reindeer and leopards in the same valley, tigers and birch trees, wild kiwis and wolves. It is a crossroads of ecosystems that exists nowhere else on the planet. And this is the last stronghold of the Amur tiger, what most of the world calls the Siberian tiger. The Amur tiger is the biggest cat alive. Its paw prints are described using pot lids for comparison. Its head is as broad as a man's chest. It can swim for miles, bring down a brown bear, and survive temperatures that would kill most other living things. And most relevant to this story, it has a long, sharp memory. After the fall of the Soviet Union, this remote wilderness fell into chaos. The logging company that had sustained the small villages along the Baikan River collapsed. Unemployment exploded. Inflation reached 1,000%. And desperate men turned to the forest, to poaching for survival. Not just deer and boar, but tigers. On the black market, a single tiger could fetch $50,000. Their bones, blood, and organs were prized across China for traditional medicine. Into this broken, frozen world, Yuri Trush and his small team from Inspection Tiger tried to impose some form of law. Armed with cameras, semi-automatic rifles, and a mandate to stop poachers and investigate tiger attacks, these men patrolled hundreds of miles of wilderness, often alone, always outnumbered. And in December of 1997, they got a call that would change everything. A man named Vladimir Markov had been killed near the remote logging village of Sobolony, killed and eaten by a tiger. But what Trush would discover when he and his squad drove out to investigate wasn't just a tragic animal attack. It was something far stranger and more disturbing. The evidence in the snow told a story. The tiger had not ambushed Markov by surprise. It had stalked him, waited for him, returned to his cabin again and again, circling it, lying in the snow just outside the door, destroying everything that carried Markov's scent. His axe handle, his water dipper, his washstand, even his latrine. Chewed to scrap. This tiger had been hunting one specific man, and it had been patient enough to wait him out. Trush asks the question that drives the rest of the book. Why? What had Markov done to bring this upon himself? To understand that, you need to understand who Vladimir Markov was. Born in Kaliningrad, drafted into the Soviet Army during the Sino-Soviet border crisis of 1969, shipped to the Far East, and never went back. He fell in love with the taiga, with the wild, self-directed life of the Taoznik, the forest dweller. He kept bees, he foraged mushrooms and wild herbs. He became a man of the woods, But after perestroika collapsed the regional economy, Markov, like so many others, had no choice but to poach. Deer, boar, badger, whatever the forest offered, and at some point, his ambitions appear to have grown. He built a tiger trap near his cabin. He was seen trading what may have been tiger meat. And one night, shortly before his death, he almost certainly did something that sealed his fate. He robbed a tiger's kill. He took meat, possibly boar, from the carcass of an animal this tiger had killed. And when the tiger returned to his kill and found it tampered with, he tracked the thief to his cabin. And he found Markov there. What happened next, Trush believes, is this. Markov shot the tiger from inside his caravan, point blank, with a weak homemade shell. He wounded it. He didn't kill it. And now there was an injured tiger in the taiga who knew exactly who had hurt him. This is where the book opens into something almost philosophical. Because one of the central questions Vaillant explores is, what are tigers actually capable of, mentally and emotionally? Can they hold grudges? Can they plan? The answer from hunters, biologists, and indigenous people alike is yes. Within limits, but yes. Tiger attacks on humans in this region were almost always the result of provocation. A tiger shot and not killed. A tiger robbed of its prey. Vladimir Skedinin, who built Inspection Tiger from scratch and had studied tiger attacks for decades, documented at least 8 cases where a tiger, after being shot by a hunter, tracked that specific hunter down, sometimes over months, and killed them. The tiger does not simply react. It assesses. It plans. It waits. Dmitry Pikhanov, a Russian tiger researcher, described how tigers in the Baikan Valley would circle forest cabins to take inventory of who was inside, as if conducting reconnaissance. A hunter named Sergei Boyko described a tiger that refused to let him hunt for an entire year after he stole from its kill, not by attacking him, but by destroying his traps and frightening off his prey. The tiger engineered his punishment. Ivan Dunkai, a Nanai elder who had spent 70 years living alongside tigers, described the relationship this way. The tiger is sly but merciful. You know that he is there, but you cannot see him. He hides, so while that one starts thinking he is invisible like a god. The indigenous Nanai and Uday people of this region had always understood the tiger as the czar of the taiga, not just the apex predator, but something close to a spiritual force. They called it Amba. They left offerings at shrines. They believed that if you killed a tiger without just cause, you would be hunted by its own kind. And now, in 1997, that ancient understanding was colliding violently with the desperation of men who had nothing left to lose. Trush and his team investigated Markov's cabin, filmed the evidence, interviewed witnesses. They tracked the tiger a short distance but turned back. The light was failing, and they didn't yet have a shooting order from Moscow. It was a decision Trush would regret for the rest of his life, because the tiger wasn't finished. 10 days after Markov was buried, a 20-year-old man named Andrei Pochepnya went into the forest to check his trapline. He had been warned. His parents begged him not to go. His neighbor tried to give him a better rifle. But Andrei went anyway, carrying an old, battered Mosin carbine with a defective primer. The tiger had been moving downstream, hunting steadily, unable to catch the deer and boar he needed because his wounds had slowed him down just enough. He smelled Andrei from more than a mile away, and he set up an ambush. What happened next was almost theatrical in its horror. The tiger dragged a mattress from a nearby shelter across the frozen river, placed it under a massive spruce tree in plain sight, and lay down on it, in the open, waiting. When Andrei arrived, he saw the tiger from 10 yards away. He swung his rifle, pulled the trigger, and the gun misfired. Denis Burakin, Andrei's best friend, found the rifle afterward. He pulled the bolt, saw the dimple in the brass primer where the firing pin had struck. He reloaded the same bullet and fired it. This time, it worked perfectly. Andrei Pochepnya was 20 years old. He had survived Chechnya. He had come home, and he died because of a bad primer on a cold morning in the forest. What was left of him fit in an army ditty bag. Now there was no more hesitation. 2 men were dead. A village was paralyzed with fear. People stopped going into the taiga entirely, not just hunters, but anyone who depended on the forest for food and income. Vladimir Skedinin arrived from Vladivostok with reinforcements. Roadblocks went up. A 6-man hunting team was assembled, including Trush, his squad mate Sasha Lazarenko, and members of Field Group Taiga, local experts who knew the river and the forest better than anyone. For 4 days they tracked the tiger through terrain so rugged that snowmobiles and horses had to be abandoned. The tiger was always just ahead of them, his right forepaw dragging deeper in the snow as the wound worsened, but never stopping, never resting long, still trying to hunt. On the night of December 20th, the tracks led almost to the edge of Sobolony. The tiger skirted the village in the darkness, while every dog in the settlement barked frantic warnings. Somehow, inexplicably, he turned away without entering. But he was getting closer. And then Denis Burakin, Andrei's best friend, who had joined the hunting party to avenge him, recognized where the tracks were headed. A cabin belonging to a neighbor named Grisha Tsibenko, a few miles west over a low ridge. They were too late to stop the tiger from getting there. When they arrived the next morning, the cabin had been torn apart from the inside. The tiger had forced his way through a window, destroyed everything, and then, in what Vaillant describes as a refinement of his hunting method, dragged the mattress onto the floor and lay down on it, waiting for Tsibenko to come home. Tsibenko wasn't there. He was lucky, but the tiger had now developed a new strategy. He was no longer just hunting animals in the wild. He was hunting men at their cabins, running his own trapline of human beings. December 21st, the shortest day of the year. Trush, Shibnev, Pianka, and Gorbarukov are driving slowly along the Svetly Creek Road, scanning the edges for tracks. They find some. They stop and get out to check them, without their rifles. Just a quick look. Pianka bends down and touches the edge of a track. "Motherfucker," he says. "It's hot. Fresh. Minutes old." They sprint back for their guns. Trush's dog Gita is racing in frantic circles, barking. They fan out into the clearing ahead, an old logging deck, stripped bare, covered in snow. And then the clearing explodes. The tiger launches from cover, 10 yards away, flying through the air, fixed on Trush. Shibnev fires. Pianka fires. They fire 11 times between them as the tiger closes the gap in less than 3 seconds. The tiger hits Trush at full speed. His rifle is torn from his hands and goes straight down the tiger's throat, all the way to the stalk. Man and tiger go down together in the snow. And then, silence. Trush is alive. He doesn't know how. He stands up slowly, staring at his hands. Then he does the most Trush thing imaginable. He runs back to the Kung, grabs his video camera, and starts filming. The tiger is dead in the snow. Several 100 pounds of muscle and fur, slowly going still. His right forepaw had been dragging visibly in the tracks. His stomach was empty, and when they skinned him, they found he had been shot with dozens of bullets and birdshot pellets over the course of his life. Not just by Markov, by hunters, by poachers, by careless men with guns over many years. Maybe, Denis Burakin said, after someone fired that birdshot into him, he got angry with the whole world. The village of Sobolony emerged from its 2-week paralysis. The tiger's skin was sent to the Arseniev Museum in Vladivostok, where it remains on display today, stuffed, behind glass, visible to all. But the human wreckage lasted much longer. Andrei Pochepnya's father, Alexander, returned to work at the village school as a night watchman. One night in January, he was found there, dead by his own hand. He was buried next to his son. Markov's wife Tamara never fully recovered. She still fishes the Baikan alone, in all weather, all these years later. Her husband's son planted a Korean pine at the site where his father's remains were found and surrounded it with stones. Anna Freychuk, one of Markov's closest friends, hanged himself in 2007. Sasha Dvornik said he still has nightmares of collecting Markov's body from the snow. Denis Burikin moved away to Lushgorsk, carrying the weight of what he saw. And what does Vaillant want us to take from all of this? Several things. First, the tigers themselves. At the time of writing, there were approximately 450 Amur tigers left in the wild. 100 years ago, there may have been 75,000 tigers across Asia. Today, that number is down to around 3,200 worldwide and falling. 3 subspecies have gone extinct within living memory. Vaillant makes it clear that what is happening to tigers mirrors what has happened to countless other species. We have taken almost everything, almost everywhere, with almost no awareness of what we are destroying. Second, the people of the taiga. The collapse of the Soviet Union did not just bring economic chaos to places like Sobolony. It obliterated an entire way of life. Desperate people with no options turned to the forest, the one resource that didn't collapse. And in doing so, they disrupted ancient agreements between humans and wildlife that had kept everyone alive for centuries. The indigenous Nanai and Uday people understood that the taiga was not theirs to own, only to inhabit. They shared it with the tiger because they had no choice and because they respected its power. The Russian settlers, and especially the new chaos of perestroika, had no such understanding. Third, the tiger itself. Vaillant spends substantial sections of the book exploring what it means that tigers can hold grudges, plan revenge, and adapt their hunting strategies. He draws on evolutionary psychology, ethology, and indigenous knowledge to argue that tigers and humans have been shaping each other for 2 million years, that our fear of predators is literally written into our brains, and that the tiger's relationship to us is far more complex than predator and prey. The Markov tiger had been shot so many times, by so many people, over so many years, that he had developed something beyond normal animal behavior. He had become what the Uday called an aegul, a creature that exists at the border between the animal world and something darker. A man-eater with a purpose. The Tiger is one of those books that changes how you see the world. It is, on the surface, a story about a tiger hunt in the Russian wilderness. But underneath, it is about the collapse of a civilization, the desperation of the people left behind, the astonishing intelligence of one of Earth's most ancient predators, and the consequences of treating the natural world as something to be exploited rather than inhabited. Yuri Trush survived December 21st, 1997, his second birthday as he calls it. He went back to work. He still patrols the taiga. When he finds tiger tracks now, he says, he still feels cautious, still feels something close to fear. I don't believe anyone who says, I'm not afraid of tigers, he said. A man must have a sense of fear. It's only normal. And maybe that fear is the point. Maybe the tiger's real gift to us, across 2 million years of shared history, is exactly that. The reminder that we are not alone at the top, that the world does not belong to us, that something out there, in the cold and the dark, is older and wilder and more patient than we will ever be. Read this book. It will stay with you.